Evil. Everyone thinks they know how to recognize it. A diabolical laugh, a blood-stained uniform, a hateful, merciless ideology. But what if real evil doesn't look evil at all? What if it speaks softly, has an ordinary face, a diploma on the wall? What if it simply stops thinking? Dietrich Bonhoeffer saw evil up close, and it wasn't in a basement. It was in the pulpit, in classrooms, in religious families, in respected universities. Bonhoeffer, a Lutheran theologian, grew up in a household of high culture, surrounded by philosophy, science, and faith. He believed in the power of reason, truth, and conscience. But then, his world turned to smoke. Evil didn't enter Germany through the door of barbarism. It came through the door of convenience. It wore good intentions as a cloak, and it found the perfect soil, a society tired of thinking, tired of resisting, tired of nuance. And so, Bonhoeffer wrote from inside his cell, "Against stupidity, we are defenseless. Neither protests nor force accomplish anything here. Words of a man awaiting death, not for doing evil, but for refusing to stay silent in the face of it." Yes, he stood up to Hitler, but what haunted him the most wasn't the dictator. It was the people saying, "Amen." Ordinary people, family men, teachers, pastors, peaceful citizens, all repeating, without thinking, without questioning. And here begins the most disturbing question of all. Is stupidity a choice, or is it a collective illness? Bonhoeffer didn't believe in natural foolishness. What he described was something far more dangerous: a spiritual failure, a collapse of conscience, an invisible surrender to the logic of the group, of propaganda, of fear. It wasn't about IQ, it was about the absence of reflection, about being taken over by ideas that aren't your own, about becoming a puppet. He wrote, "When you talk to a stupid person, you feel like you're not speaking with them but with slogans that possess them." Have you ever felt that? Someone who repeats catchphrases without even realizing it? Who gets offended when questioned, but can't explain their convictions? That's the soil where stupidity thrives. Not in innocent ignorance, but in protected ignorance. In a mind that no longer seeks. In a soul that has already given up. And the most tragic part? Stupidity believes it's right. A respected doctor starts spreading misinformation. A smart teacher begins endorsing toxic ideas. A loving mother starts making decisions that endanger her own children. Are these people evil? No. They're functional, but no longer intellectually free. They've been swallowed by organized stupidity. And here's the most disturbing key to Bonhoeffer's theory. Stupidity may be more destructive than intentional evil. Because evil at least carries guilt, conflict, noise. Stupidity does not. It walks with peace of mind. It believes it is doing good. It acts with conviction. And that's why it crosses generations, governments, religions. That's why it adapts, disguises itself, multiplies. In 1961, years after Bonhoeffer's death, Stanley Milgram conducted an experiment that validated every one of his suspicions. Volunteers, ordinary people, were instructed by an authority figure to administer electric shocks to another human being. They heard screams. They hesitated, but they continued. 65% of them delivered what they believed was a lethal shock. Why? Because someone told them it was right, because they were following orders, because it wasn't their problem. These weren't psychopaths. They were us, ordinary people, good citizens. And in that moment, what Bonhoeffer described was fulfilled once again. Blind obedience without thought creates the greatest horrors. Today, stupidity doesn't wear a uniform. It uses hashtags. It spreads like a virus. It's cultivated by algorithms that don't want you to think. They want you to react. We live under constant pressure, rush, anxiety, manufactured outrage. Every like, every comment, every video is a cog in a system that rewards functional stupidity. And no, this isn't a conspiracy theory. It's psychological engineering. Social media profits from your irritation, from your tribalism, from your blind certainty. The truth? It's expensive. It's slow. It doesn't go viral. But emotional, simplified, cartoonish stupidity? That explodes, that pays, that conquers. Bonhoeffer saw this happen to Germany's press. We're watching it happen to the entire world, in real time, on every screen. Have you ever wondered why it's so hard to change your mind today? Why people seem so hostile to the simple act of thinking? Maybe because thinking hurts. It hurts to admit you might be wrong. It hurts to carry doubts in a world that demands quick answers. Stupidity offers relief. It offers belonging. It offers clarity. But that relief comes at a cost. And the cost is your mental autonomy. Bonhoeffer wasn't describing a type of person. He was describing a process, a slide, a slow descent, where the mind gives up effort and the soul silences its discernment. And the question is, have you started that descent? Because no one wakes up stupid. Modern stupidity is a kind of sleep, a gradual abandonment of doubt, an addiction to certainty. And if you think you're immune, be careful. The certainty of your immunity may be the first symptom of your infection. The 21st century doesn't need dictators to silence thought. It only needs to tire you out, overload you, fill you with information until you're paralyzed. The name for this is rational ignorance, the unconscious decision to stop seeking, because the cost of knowing feels higher than the cost of not knowing. And when you stop seeking, the system has already won. Stupidity today has Wi-Fi, a soundtrack, and artificial intelligence. Algorithms know exactly what kind of lie you want to hear. They know your anger, your anxiety, your urgency, and they use it to keep you thinking as little as possible. Deepfakes, disinformation, ideological bubbles that pretend to be freedom of speech. We are being hacked, not by machines, but by our own mental addictions. Bonhoeffer saw his society manipulated by radio and newspapers. Today, we're manipulated by machines that think faster than we do, but without a conscience. And here lies the final paradox. If we don't learn to think, we will be replaced by what thinks for us. But Bonhoeffer believed in a way forward. He called it costly grace, the decision to think, even when it hurts, even when it isolates you, even when it strips you of the comfort of the group. Costly grace is the courage to change your mind, to doubt yourself, to resist the ease of always being right. Want to know if you're resisting stupidity? See if you're doing any of these three things. First, intellectual friction. Read something from someone you disagree with, not to hate, but to test the strength of your ideas. Second, active humility. When you're absolutely certain of something, ask yourself, what kind of evidence would make me change my mind? If the answer is none, you're at risk. Third, reflective pause. Before sharing something online, wait, check, breathe. Ask yourself, is this true, or does it just make me feel right? These pauses, these small choices, are invisible trenches of clarity in a world overwhelmed by noise. On April 9, 1945, Dietrich Bonhoeffer was taken to be hanged. His last words were, "This is the end, but for me it is the beginning of life." He died thinking, and maybe that's why he still lives. And now, the question returns to you. Are you still thinking, or are you just repeating? Do you get uncomfortable with different ideas? Or are you guided only by reactions? Bonhoeffer left us a challenge no one else can fulfill for you. Who stands firm when thinking becomes dangerous? When the cost of truth is greater than the comfort of lies? The answer isn't in books. It's in every choice you make, in every silence you break, in every certainty you dare to doubt. If this video made you stop, even for a minute, then you're still alive on the inside. Share it with someone who isn't afraid to think, and answer in the comments, what certainty are you willing to question this week? Because sometimes, thinking isn't just a right, it's the last act of resistance we still have left.